Hello everybody, this is This1530 here, back again, and today I'll be talking about a game that I have left in a while. I've played a little bit of it on and off, on like my ults and stuff like that, and some other things, but today I just want to talk about the new Battlefield 5 update, talk about what I've liked so far, what I've disliked, and actually some good news in terms of this game, which is amazing, to see that good news can even happen. Yeah, so for those that don't know, there was a new update today. It was about 2.5 gigs for my PS4, mind you. It could be more depending on what console you're on, whatever. I'm not gonna console, PC, whatever. I'm not gonna go into that. But what it did was allowed custom games, and it also did a mode reset. And I will say this, guys: if you want to play Battlefield 5 at its best, hop into Battlefield 5 now. Simply put, custom games, even though there's not many people there at the moment, there's not as many custom games. I think custom games is pretty much the only way this game's going to live. Other than that, and the new playlist, which is the Pacific War. Yeah. So what they decided to do is that they decided to make Conquest large and Breakthrough on all the Pacific maps available. Which, for those that don't know why that's beautiful, they were considered the best maps of the game. And in fairness, as you will guys see in the background, this is me playing Breakthrough on Iwo Jima. And I'm not even kidding you this. So we legit get pushed all the way back to the final objective. I joined in the game late, and this goes from max tickets to 0. We go from max tickets to 0, and our team literally just pulls it out of our ass and defends this objective super, super hard to the point where it's unbeatable. Now, for a lot of people are like, oh, well, this is on top of the hill, you guys have the high ground, it's a lot easier. It's actually a lot easier for the Americans, because they have all the AA guns down below that still work, and their aircraft is closer to the site than us, so they actually have more aircraft availability most of the time. And we also have very little room to move, should I say. Like, that's the farthest we can go up is theirs, or farthest we can go down the mountain. So it's actually quite difficult for defenders, because there's only we're enclosed in a very tight space. We have aircraft all around. We have artillery getting called in, and so much other shit. And somehow, some way, we managed to hold them off to the point where they only got to the objective, I think, twice in the whole fucking game, where they actually were capturing the objective, which I think proves a testament to how Battlefield games should, and what a good Battlefield game, or a good game of Battlefield would be like. So yeah, let me just go on the update a bit more now that I've done with my rant about how good this gameplay is. So the update introduced custom games, which has basically, it's fleshed out a lot more. I would say the closest thing you can put it to is the Battlefield 4 customs, with a lot less, with some missing features. Essentially, you can change damage, change which weapons are allowed, stuff like that. You can change spawn rates, you can change a bunch of shit, basically. I haven't made one myself, because apparently you can just make one. Like, you can, it's not even, paid anymore at the moment, at least that I know of. You can just make a configuration and play it, which I think is kind of cool, so no more paying for servers, at least, like I said, that I know of. And like I said, they also added in the new playlist rotation, which gave us Pacific War, which is the best mode. You should play it. And a few other, stability and bug fixes, yada yada. So let me talk about what I think of Battlefield 5 with this update. So, this update is insanely good, just straight up. Even though it brought very little, it has basically rejuvenated the game for a lot of people. Main point being is that now they can play servers the way they want. And one of the huge things is we now have Year 1 time to kill available to us. What does that mean? Well, simply put, I believe it's if you increase the damage, it's not 125%, I think it's 120 or 115, something like that. If you increase the damage to that value, every single full auto weapon goes back to the original time to kill and stuff like that. So you can basically just make it to where you're playing the older version of the game, which I think is really fun. And I'll talk about that in a minute. As for my cons with this update, well, simply put, it was a small update. There wasn't much added to it, and granted, they already said they were halting developer support. I would have liked to see, and maybe they could do this, is like on their off time with Battlefield 6. Like, you know, whenever they're just don't have anything to do, they could probably work on adding in, like, maybe a couple more weapons and stuff like that. I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch of weapons left in the files, especially from the Russian DLC that was supposed to happen. So, we could legitimately just, you know, just throw in a bunch of the weapons from the Russian DLC. You know, get the ones that are closest to finishing, just get them done as fast as humanly possible, you know, when it's on your off time, and then, you know, you guys can test it a little bit and add in. And simply put, that's like the best case scenario stuff that they do is just that they throw in a bunch of the assets that they have in testing. They just give us a bunch of those assets for free. And that would be insane. Now, as for any other cons, nothing really. There wasn't really much changed. It's mostly it's a good update, which is why I'm making this video, is because I'm actually kind of happy with it. And it's brought me back to the game a little bit, because whilst playing on the Pacific maps can be boring after a while, they're probably the best maps in terms of what you can actually enjoy. Once again, referencing to this gameplay where we're basically on a fight for dear life, and then you see us at some points where we are running back and forth trying to hold everything as much as we can, and then on the other side of it, you have instances where there's us where we're literally pushing them all the way back into their spawn. You have an instance like right here where I'm fighting against, like, you know, 5+ enemies at one spot, and I'm trying to just gun down as many as I can. So yeah, not much of the rest for the update. The rest of this will be talking about the game. Overall, the game so far, at least at the moment, is stable. It does have some clunky bits to it here and there, but nothing I would be surprised by, and nothing like too big. Progression seems to be slightly faster than usual. It looks like I'm getting a lot more company coin than I used to, which is good, because that was my main issue, is that once you got to rank 50, you were never unlocking company coin, at least on console, very well. Even with all the updates to try and fix that, sometimes you would just get like 3,000-4,000 in one go. Other times you would barely get anything past like 150 after like 5 games, which was really bad. So yeah. Standard gameplay, I could say, is still kind of monotonous in some ways. Simply put, a lot of the guns just don't feel very good. Especially the Madsen for some reason. Like, don't get me wrong, like the Madsen, which is what I'm using here, is a very, very good gun. Because it's supposed to be like the ACR or the LMGs, where it has like super low damage, but it has a really, really good recoil time. The issue is that I hate it because I feel like I'm shooting fucking marshmallows. And that's the big issue with some of the guns in this game, is that they feel like they're shooting marshmallows. Most of the assault rifles don't have this issue. Most of the LMGs have this issue. Because normally they're like 5+ shots to kill in close range, aside from like 2 or 3 of them, which is awful. And even the Madsen's case, I believe the Madsen's like a 6 shot at all ranges. Like, it's just so bad. SMGs are kind of just imbalanced right now. Simply put, guns like the Grease Gun are absolutely terrible outside of like 10 meters, which I think is kind of sad, because I actually like the Grease Gun and used to use it a bit in this gameplay. The Type 100 is still the best SMG in the game in terms of just raw time to kill for how much recoil you have. All the fast-firing machine guns kind of suck. Like, it's just weird. Other than that, there's not much really to talk about. I guess I could say that I may potentially be doing videos with somebody in the future on this game, just like, you know, every once in a while, just like, you know, having some collab like commentary. That's pretty much it. Just like, you know, just some quick collabs, maybe some discussing of the game, stuff like that. I don't expect too much to come from it, but it's more just like one of the offbeat things we can do. As for content going forward with this game at all, probably not. Like I said, I'll mostly use this game for commentary, maybe a weapon review here or there for something like that is truly insane. Like if I find like a really, really good gun that I want to talk about, stuff like that. Maybe a few vehicle loadouts if I'm bored. But that's about it. Man, I had a 16-minute slide out for this, and I have no clue what to talk about right now. It's not even like I get ad revenue either, so I should normally I would cut the video, but I feel like being a bit nice, aka making you guys watch more stupidity from me. I have to talk about my, I guess, kind of hype for Battlefield 6, and my kind of not hype, depending on how a certain indie game, or I guess kind of indie game, turns out. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, basically, so we have Battlefield 6, which, holy shit, if they do not fix Battlefield 6 compared to 5, they are screwed. Simply put, the Battlefield 6 needs to be either modern military or, like, I guess close to modern military, so like maybe like Battlefield 3 era. It needs to have an even bigger scale, which from what we've seen so far in teasers, we might get all the way up to 100 players, maybe even 120 players. Some people have been saying 128, which is 64 v 64. If that happens, great. I would actually like that. That just means we're gonna have even bigger maps, though. So yay, snipers get buff indirectly. And that just means weapons will have to have higher ranges, base, and stuff like that. The issue is, if they mess this up, it's probably done for Battlefield, and one of the big things, one of the biggest things coming out of this whole situation is that if they do not release a super stellar game, there is a game that might actually cause some competition for I guess their genre. That being the indie game known as World War III. Now, for those that don't know what World War III is, it is like I guess it's like Black Ops 2 kind of ish. I'm trying to think of the way to say it. It's a modern military shooter with some post-modern assets in it, basically. So basically you're using modern weaponry and stuff like that in a lot of cases, but you're also doing it in like a slightly futuristic area, so nothing like space or anything like that. Like I said, closest I can bring you to is like a little bit before Black Ops 2 era in terms of like what you would be looking at. And there's an indie project, blah blah blah. It went, as of recently, it's been on like its 9th month of not having a major update. Turns out they are making a major update, and then from what we know so far, anyways, this might be a bit of this is like a down low thing. It's being published by the people that publish Warframe, which means that we may see a console release, PC release, everything release, basically. And this game is effectively a more tactical Battlefield game. I'll say the closest you can put it to is think Battlefield plus Arma. As if they had like a mini love child and then spat out a new game completely. But yeah, if that game does well, especially considering that a lot of people, even though the game is like dead right now on Steam because of, 9 months no update and a very buggy mess right now, when the game works right, it's very, very good. And it is very, very fun to play. So I would assume that if, like I said, if things go well, and that game comes out in a good state, and if Battlefield 6 does not deliver, Battlefield is completely screwed. Because now there will be a game directly competing with it. It will be from what we've seen, it will be a 10-year live service about. Now, mind you, this part is speculation, but there's like hints to it. And probably like a Modern Warfare style battle pass system because it makes a lot of money. And it could even be free to play. So, like I said, Battlefield gotta step up its game. The difference I could say between Battlefield and Call of Duty in this scenario actually is kind of ironic because in terms of Battlefield, I actually think Battlefield would support more from a free-to-play system because of what it's trying to do. Other than Call of Duty, because Call of Duty you're basically buying it for the campaign, the zombies, and then multiplayer, and then you have Warzone for free. This game basically people play only multiplayer. And you could legit sell the game for probably, you can sell Battlefield 5 literally for free, and people still won't take it. Hell, even Battlefield 4 you can still buy for like $6. But either way, guys, that's my rant. I'll be seeing you guys all later. Peace out.